Hey folks, this is Alexander Winn. I'm the host of the Settle the Stars podcast. I'm adding this bonus episode at the very beginning of the podcast feed for anyone who is just finding the show now, to give you a little context for what you're about to listen to. As J.R.R. Tolkien once said of The Lord of the Rings, this tale grew in the telling. When I set out to make this podcast, it was originally called The Science of Terraogenesis. You'll notice that the first several episodes still refer to themselves that way. It was meant to be an informative and educational tie-in to the mobile game I created several years ago called Terraogenesis, which allows you to settle and terraform authentic planets and moons throughout the solar system and beyond. Realistic science has always been an important part of Terraogenesis' design, and a huge section of the player base really responded to it, so I wanted to share my passion for this stuff in a more directly educational way. Hence, the Science of Terraogenesis podcast was designed to do just that. Examine how terraforming would work in real life and how those ideas are presented in-game. But this tale grew in the telling, and before long I had people messaging me that they'd never played Terraogenesis, but would still love to hear me talk about more generalized space and science content. I realized there wasn't much out there for someone who wants to learn more about space, but isn't a total beginner. There are plenty of podcasts out there that will teach you that Jupiter is the biggest planet and the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and there are a few brain-meltingly dense science web series and podcasts made by experts and for experts, but there isn't much in the middle. That is the niche that I've tried to fill. If you're a complete newbie, you won't be lost, but I've also tried to give more depth and detail than most broad audience shows ever attempt. We'll be talking about the size of Jupiter and Saturn, but also about their moons and their rings, what they're made of and how they formed, their atmospheric idiosyncrasies, the roles they play within the orbits of the other planets, and the historical events that occurred as scientists learned more about them. We'll talk about astronomy, yes, but also chemistry, physics, sociology, history, and even mythology. And most of all, we'll try to build an interconnected understanding of the universe, not just a recitation of isolated facts. It was this change in focus that led me to change the name of the show from The Science of Terraogenesis to Settle the Stars. What began as a behind-the-scenes look at an indie video game has become a deep dive into the nature of the universe, our place within it, and our future out among the stars. If you're just starting out with episode 1, you're in for a wild ride. I have had so much fun making this show, just like I did with Terraogenesis, and I can't wait to see where each of them goes next. At the time I'm recording this, we've just wrapped up a 15-episode season, taking us on a tour of the solar system and beyond, and we've got plenty more exciting content planned for the future. So stay tuned, be sure to subscribe and leave a review, and let me bid you for the very first time, happy terraforming. Settle the Stars is a proud member of the Edgeworks Nebula, a collection of intriguing and informative podcasts from Edgeworks Entertainment.
Edgeworks Nebula.